Semenyo was averaging 6.8 points, with Mohamed Salah averaging 4.8 points per 90 minutes in the last 4 game weeks. And these next 4 games aren't getting easier when Mohamed Salah has been on the decline. So am I going to make the decision to get rid of Salah? Why are these the most sold players, and why are these the most bought players leading into game week 7? It's mightily important that we find out the answer to these questions, because if the sheeple are herding in the wrong direction, then we want to capitalize on that and keep our cool. Alternatively, if the herd is moving in the right direction, which often happens, then we don't want to be left behind, now do we? So in this video, we'll be consulting my magical data sheet to understand if there is any logic behind these transfers, or is it purely just knee-jerking emotion? On a side note, before we get into the most popular transfers in and out, if you hear children screaming in the background, I promise you it's because they're playing outside in the streets right by my window, not because they are locked up in my basement. Alright? I can't risk being arrested this season, especially when this year I will finally finish in the top 1%. I can feel it in my bones, and I want you there on that journey with me. So please do drop this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos this season. So, who is up first? Who is the most transferred player leading into game week 7? Now that is none other than Haaland. Now shall we see why? Let me introduce you to the FPL Suck Super Ultimate FPL Data Collection Sheet. Oh fuck, I messed up the name already. It's a cool sheet. Basically, I've grabbed the data from numerous sources, uploaded it into this data sheet, and it's gonna easily allow me just to select a player and just review his performance against his benchmark and the season benchmark, just to see where things are trending. Now right here, I'm in my forward tab. You can see here in the drop down section, we have Haaland, Ekitike. It has all the players that have made meaningful minutes and contributions this season for me to consider. So if I click on Haaland, boom, look at that. So the main overview for Erling Haaland right here. On the top section here, we have the last game, how he performed against Burnley. Then we can see here his average performance, the last 4 games he played, which was including Burnley, Arsenal, Man United, and Brighton. And then we have the player benchmark season to date. And I can make just a little bit better informed decisions. For example, if, you can see right here, Haaland, his metrics here, his minutes slightly up, his penalty touches are up, big attempts are up, big attempts scored are up, shots in the box are up, goal involvements are up, expected goal involvements are slightly down, but you know, he's a quality player, so he's still slotting them away. And his points and bonus points are up. And in the last 4 games, he's had difficult opponents. I mean, Arsenal, Man United, he still scored against those two. Well, Man United, difficult, yeah, whatever. So then looking at this last 4 game weeks, seeing the last 4 people they played, and then looking at the next lot he has to play, Brentford, Everton, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, I can see why Erling Haaland has been brought in. It's a no-brainer. If you can afford him, if you can wiggle your team around and make space for Erling Haaland, go for it, because he's just been better than his overall season to date numbers, so he's certainly in form right this very moment. And with his next game, Brentford, and then Everton, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, get him in, bring him in your team. So if I was to rate the sheeples who are transferring him in en masse, what would I give this rating at? 10? I'd give it an 8. Yeah, I'd give it an 8. No more, because he's really expensive. It's going to be difficult to shift your team about unless you have an extra free transfer about, or if you haven't used your wild card yet. So get him in if you can. He's captain material, certainly for the next 4 game weeks coming up. Do it. Now, Sensei, is that how you say his name? Sensei? Like a Japanese warrior, Sensei? He is the next most transferred in player, and he is a defender. 4.9 at the moment. I believe he's gone up in price actually since then. I think he's a bit more expensive to bring him in. But, so if you see this graph right here, you can see his goal involvement is way higher than the average goal involvement for a defender as well, with his expected goal involvement actually just a little bit below the average for a defender. So that kind of suggests to me he is overperforming just a little bit. Let's have a look at his stats last game. He did get a goal involvement with a very low expected goal involvement, so this is per 90 data, which is actually up against his last 4 game weeks, so it does look like he is in form. And if you actually look at his FPL points as well as average points, 7.3 on average per 90 minutes for the season to date. So he certainly isn't a bad player to bring in at all. And I expect people are bringing him in purely because he had a goal involvement last game. If that's your reasoning for bringing him in, you might be disappointed, because how can you imagine a player to keep up this numbers, to overperform in this such of a way here? His goal involvement versus his actual expected goal involvement is really high. Unless he's one of the best players in the world, I can't really see him continuing these figures. But again, his defensive contributions, he averages 2 defensive points per game. So actually, rating this transfer in out of 10, next 4 game weeks, you've got Fulham, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, Man City. It's obviously going to be a difficult one. But rating this out of 10, I'd give it a 7. I'd give it a 7, 8 out of 10, maybe 7.5. I'll be generous, 7.5. A decent price. He gets in his defensive contributions, and every now and then he is going to score a goal, but just don't expect it to be frequent. Who's next? It's another defender, Guehi. So now if I search Mark Guehi in my list here, you can see again, he's another player who's absolutely overperforming his goal involvement to expected goal involvement. And if you check last game, obviously against Liverpool, he got his goal involvement right there. Surprisingly, he got a good amount of penalty touches, and for a player that's less than £5 million, he's been driving a good average FPL points per 90 minutes. However, if you wanted him for his defensive contribution points, he's not that type of player. He's not that type of player. His expected goal involvements are a little bit below the average for a defender, but just like Sensei, he's been overperforming his actual goal involvement. So again, don't expect that to continue. If I was to rate this transfer out of 10, Everton next, Bournemouth, Arsenal, Brentford, I'll probably give it less than what I gave Sensei. I'll probably give him a 7. Sensei was a 7.5. Mark Guehi, I'll give him a 7 out of 10. And the next fixture's coming up. He can probably scrape a clean sheet or 2. But yeah, a 7 just seems right for me. And next, again, who is one of the highest transferred players in constantly every week? Of course, it is Semenyo. So let's go over to my midfielder data comparison sheet. Let's bring up his information here. He got his goal involvement last game against Leeds. And actually, however, his last 4 game weeks, he's actually been slightly underperforming. He seems to be slowing down just a little bit. Where he averaged season to date, he's been averaging 8 points per 90 minutes, which is incredible. No wonder his price has gone up 0.8 million, almost $1 million more expensive than he originally was. So what's the point I'm making? His last 4 game weeks, he seems to be slowing down just a little bit. His expected goal involvement declined by almost 50%. His actual goal involvement declined by 25%. Shots in the box declined by 100%. He does seem to be slowing down. And if you add a little bit more context, his last few games, Newcastle, Brighton, Tottenham, not the easiest games at all to play against, but certainly not the most difficult. Next up, they have Fulham, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, and then Man City. Would I still say to bring him in? I think yes, you can probably still try and bring him in, because if you just look at this graph here, his goal involvement and expected goal involvement is well above the average for a midfielder. He certainly has the ability to put those shots away. So what am I going to rate this out of 10? I'm going to give it a 7. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. He probably would have been even higher if it wasn't for the fact that his last 4 game weeks does seem to be on the decline. So the sheeple don't seem to be too wrong this week. Lots of 7.5s, 8s out of 10. So well done, sheeple. So let's move on now to the most sold players leading into game week 7. And before we do, if you can please like and subscribe to this channel, I would appreciate it and love you a lot. So now, who is the most transferred out player at the point of recording. Can you believe it? It's Mo Salah. Unbelievable. So if we now change our midfield selector to bring in Salah, you can kind of see why. I mean, he just hasn't been driving the most incredible results. I mean, last 4 game weeks, 4.8 points per 90 minutes. What was Semenyo's again? 6.8. Semenyo was, who's now priced at 7.8 million, averaging 6.8 points per 90 minutes, with Mohamed Salah averaging 4.8 points per 90 minutes in the last 4 game weeks. And the last game, as it's abbreviated here, cry, is very apt because I'm sure many Liverpool fans were crying at the end of that result. Another last-minute goal in a Liverpool game, but this time against Liverpool. And then previously to that, Everton, Burnley and Arsenal, with Salah only averaging an expected goal involvement of 0.5 in those last 4 games. And then coming up, the next 4 games are even more difficult. Chelsea, Man United, yes, maybe Man United aren't that difficult nowadays. And then afterwards, Brentford and Aston Villa. So these next 4 games aren't getting easier than the previous 4 games when Mohamed Salah has been on the decline. So should you sell him? Oh, probably, yeah. I mean, he's in my team, and it's very difficult to say this just because of how much quality Salah has. It just seems crazy to say that you're going to sell him, but even comparing him against Semenyo, I mean, if you can sell him at 14.5 million down to Semenyo, who's 7.8 million, maybe a little bit more, it seems worth it. So I would just recommend to go ahead and do it. I think the sheeple are right this time. I mean, am I going to do it? I might not have the cojones, but if you do it, know that Salah still has the ability to pull out a goal out of nowhere. And then next up, João Pedro is the next most highly transferred out player, and I can see why. He had a great start to the season, but again, he looks to be slowing down. You can see in this chart here, you can see his player benchmark season to date, his last 4 game weeks, and then the last game. He did nothing in the last game. He played 90 minutes, 0 penalty touches, 0 big attempts, 0 shots in the box, 0 expected goal. I mean, is this sheet right? I'm worried now that my data is incorrect, but I'm pretty sure this is 100% true. He did absolutely nothing the last game against Brighton, and the next game is against Liverpool. Nottingham Forest, Sunderland, who aren't mugs. They haven't been mugs this year, you have to admit. And then Spurs as well. It doesn't look to be getting easier in the next 4 game weeks, especially when the previous 4, they were pretty good. They're pretty favourable. So selling out João Pedro, yeah, I can get it. I can understand. I can get on board with that. I've already sold him. He was in my team, but I got rid of him just before the decline, and I feel like a genius for doing so. So should you do it? Yep, do it. I'll rate this transfer decision 9 out of 10. Go for it. Next up on the chopping block, coincidentally, is Wood. Wood is on the chopping block. Now, as of the point of recording, Chris Wood is still 7.5 million. I remember 2 videos ago, I said, keep him because he's playing Burnley and Sunderland. There's chances that he can still score. Of course, he played Arsenal and they didn't do well, but what would you expect against Arsenal? They're pretty solid defensively. So Burnley and Sunderland, surely he must score a goal. Well, no, unfortunately not. Even though he managed to get good expected goal involvement for those 2 games, he just couldn't score. He just couldn't get it in the back of the net. And with his next 4 game weeks against Newcastle, Chelsea, Bournemouth and Man United, just get rid of him and look to spend your money elsewhere. I'll rate this transfer decision another 9 out of 10. It's certainly not looking good for Wood when he's only scored 2 goals this season, and that was at the very start against Brentford. So there we have it, the most bought-in players and the most sold-out players. Hopefully you have learned something. I know I have. I think I'm going to make the decision. Am I going to make the decision to get rid of Salah? I don't know. Should I do it? Let me know in the comments below. I mean, I've doubled up with Salah and Haaland. They're both in my squad. But should I drop Salah down and maybe get Semenyo in? Looking at the data, it's hard to argue, but I think this is a cojones problem. I think I'm just lacking the cojones. Let me know what you think I should do. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.